Well, with you. Good evening, good evening, good evening. And so it is Monday night, 9:30, and as I told you last week, I will be on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday from 9:30 to 10 o'clock, going over a few things to discuss. Um, Tonight, as you see on the screen there, we're going to talk about 5 ways to deal with crisis. And I just wanted to, real quick, before I get into the 5 things. Tonight, as you see, I'm using Restream. So I will be on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Periscope. And so I decided to try it out. This is actually a maiden voyage. And so we'll see how it goes. I normally broadcast from Facebook, but the opportunity to broadcast on other stations, channels works out perfectly. So we'll see how that goes. So by all means, fire away. I want to see. Let me see. I'm not sure how that works. Okay, but we got that. But yeah, 5 ways to deal with crisis. And as I told you before, Keith Belvin, crisis specialist. And I know some of you have not seen me in a while if you are watching from Periscope or YouTube. And I've been here. I just been dealing with some paradigm shifts, getting my brain in a different place. And so a little bit about me. I am a former New York City educator who now resides in Delaware, whose purpose is to help people who need help, to help people who are in crisis. This is what I do. And it has dawned on me that, and I was doing some research today to get ready for this evening, was that it turns out, which I know many of you know, that people of color do not take care of their mental health in the same capacity as whites or Latinos. And I think it's simply because, and many of us have dealt with this coming up, mental health is just not discussed. It's just not something that is considered a major thing. And a lot of people like to keep, as they say, their dirt in house. And so that prevents a lot of people from getting help. So that's what prompted me to want to share those things tonight. So I'm not going to waste any of your time. And if you're watching on replay, when you send your comments or you place a comment, please place replay if you are watching via replay. And if you're watching live, thank you for being live. And remember, if you're watching on Periscope, remember to hit the heart button, and we'll go from there. Okay, so tonight these are the 5 things that you should consider doing to help you deal with the crisis. Now, when I say crisis, right now the 2 major crises are, of course, the coronavirus. That's number 1. And then the uprisings. I say uprisings, I say protests. Some people may say riots. You take that any way that you want to take it. But the police violence and the violence connected to some of the things that we've seen has really caused people to feel some type of way. And then we're already dealing with the stress of dealing with the coronavirus itself. So how do we deal with that? What are some of the things that we can put in place? Now, I'll be on with more, but I just want to give you these 5. The first one, number 1, and I'll put it here for you. Number 1 is to check that you are physically safe, okay? Because sometimes people feel so chaotic in the aftermath of adversity that they put themselves in danger by leaving appliances on, driving carelessly, crossing the road without looking, and so on. And I was doing some research with Psychology Today and a couple other places, and it may sound simple, but the reason why I went with that one as number 1 is because we get so tied up in what we're dealing with. We get so frustrated in what we're dealing with that we forget to keep ourselves physically safe. We forget that we need to make sure that we're okay, that we're in a safe place. If you've ever went through a first aid class, one of the first things they tell you is before you even start first aid, check your surroundings, make sure that you're safe so you're not a casualty as you're trying to help somebody who might be dealing with a casualty. And in crisis, it's the same thing. You have to make sure that you are physically safe, okay? And that's extremely important. And I think often we tend to forget that that's the case. And we literally we're literally sitting around like placing ourselves in harm's way. So we don't want to do that. Number two, okay, so number one, I'll put it back up for you. Number one is check that you are physically safe. Okay, gotcha. Now, number two, I'll put that up for you. There you go. Check that you are getting the help that you need, medically, psychologically, or legal. And you may say, legal? Yes. When dealing with crisis, make sure that you've been seen by a doctor. Make sure that you check just to make sure that everything is okay. Because the stress and the worry and the concern that can come from when you're in crisis can cause mental and physical and mental, physical, and social damage. And I'm gonna get to each. So medically, we want to make sure that we're fine physically. We want to make sure the doctor clears us, make sure our blood pressure is fine, make sure everything is okay. Psychological, this is where I come in because I'm a counselor. Now, hopefully you don't need a psychologist, but if you do, that's fine. You have to get that evaluation. But as a counselor, which I am, you might need to make time to see me. You may need to set up a session with me, which I'm going to ask you to do at the end of this, because if you need somebody to talk to, I'm here. Because there are times you need professional help. And you have to admit that to yourself, because often one of the biggest things I see go wrong when somebody's dealing with crisis is they want to try to keep it all in. They want to find a way to fix it themselves. And that you don't want to do. That puts you in a bad place, because people like myself are trained to do that. We went to school to do that. And even if you don't turn to someone that went to school, at least have someone that you can talk to, that you can bounce some things off of. But I would prefer that you go to somebody who knows what they're doing, because somebody that doesn't could put you in a bad place. And legally, you really want to make sure that you do not create any legal situations for yourself socially, because when we're in crisis, when we're dealing with a lot of stress and it's not being handled well, we do things that we should not do and get ourselves into trouble. So we want to legally make sure that we're doing all the things that we're supposed to do. Because again, crisis affects people in different ways. All of us are different. All of us react differently. So that's number two. Okay, moving on to number three. All right, here we go. Number three is stay physically active. And this one, because the mind and body are intertwined, and that's very important as well. Actually, all five of them are important, because the body gives off endorphins when you exercise. Those endorphins help relax the mind and helps relax the muscles. And you also, it's a great way to let go of stress, physically active. Now, here's another one that some of you are going to love. Have sex. Yes, have sex. Sex is actually a fantastic way to reduce stress. And again, the reason why is because upon ejaculation, your body gives off chemicals that causes the muscles relax, and it allows the body to relieve itself from stressful feelings and stressful situations. So that's something that you want to consider too. So whether you're going out and exercise, you're going out to exercise, or whatever you may decide to do, physical activity is necessary, and your physical state affects your mental state, and vice versa. Your mental state affects your physical state. They are connected. When you are feeling horrible, your body seems to find every ache and pain in the world. And when your body is not right, you just can't seem to focus. You don't have any clarity. You don't seem to be able to get things done. So it is intertwined. And if you understand what I'm saying, then you have seen it, especially on days when you still got to go to work. It just seems like it all comes crashing in at the same time. So let me go back real quick. And if you've just joined or you're just tuning in, I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist. And what we're dealing with tonight is we're talking about 5 ways to deal with crisis. We had number 1, which is check that you are physically safe. Number 2, check that you are getting medical, psychological, and legal help. And number 3, which we just finished, is to stay physically active. Okay, so if you just joined us, that's where we are. And so we're going to continue. So I don't know where the chat, let me see what the chat is to see if I can see. Let me see if that's it. The chat is ready. Okay, just to see if I can see who might be on. So if I can't, but trust and believe, I will go back and respond to every person that has responded tonight if I cannot see it, because I thought the chat might come up so I can actually respond to some folks, but I don't see that to be the case. So, we'll check it out, because I do want to interact with whoever may be on. And so, again, forgive me if I miss any responses or any questions that might come on. That may actually cause me. The chat is ready to display messages. Check on messages to show it on the screen. Let me see. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, no, we're going to hold up there. Okay, so again, I'm going to have to go back. So again, I will definitely figure out what's going on with any messages to see if anybody's been on. But let's continue on to number 4. And depending on how this goes, whether I like it or not, I may just end up staying on Facebook and invite everyone to come and hang out with me there. Okay, let's continue on to number 4. Number 4 is keep pleasurable things in your life. Maintain your routines. And again, it may sound simple, but we tend to forget. We start to get frustrated and we get away from the things that we enjoy doing because we're frustrated with the things that's happening around us. And one of the things that I like to say to folks when I'm in a session is, do not focus on things you cannot control. Do not focus on the things that are happening that you don't actually have a hand in, because then you're absorbing negative energy that you can't do anything with. The only thing that you can control is you. And if you focus on you, and as it says here in number 4, keep pleasurable things in your life. Maintain your routines. If things was working, stay with it. Try to keep with the things that you enjoy: reading, listening to music, dancing. And again, I'll add the one from before: have sex. Whatever your routine is that works, keep to that. Stay with that. Keep that in place, because what that does, it allows you to feel like you. It allows you to start to regain some of your footing, because things can seem like they're caving in on you. Things can seem like they're pushing in from all sides. And one of the ways that you can push back and feel comfortable and restore yourself is to keep pleasurable things in your life. And by maintaining your routine, what you notice is that you start to see that the world will turn, and that things are going to be okay, and that you're not falling apart, because it can seem like everything is getting away from you, and it'll seem like every negative thing in the world is starting to happen. You might be going through some things. That's true. But it doesn't mean that the whole world has to come to a stop, and it doesn't mean that you can't fix it. Okay? And the last one for tonight is check that you are eating well and getting enough sleep. This one right here, a lot of people overlook. All of a sudden, when the crisis really starts pounding you in the head and your body is feeling achy, all of a sudden we start amping up the coffee. We start getting a lot of processed food because it's easier to cook and it's easier to warm up, and you just don't feel like making a meal and all this other stuff. And we get away from eating vegetables. We get away from eating fruits. And as you see in the bottom, I wrote, good nutrition is important. Up your fruits and veggies. That's one of the things that you should do. One, it'll keep you full, but won't give you a whole lot of fat and carbs. 2, a lot of the vitamins and minerals that we need are in fruits and vegetables. So upping your fruits and vegetables will give you the intake of the things that you need that's going to help you to remain calm, to be able to remain focused. Okay, and that actually can prevent you from having to go to a doctor, because it can give you some of the things that you need. And diet is extremely important. Don't turn to a lot of coffee, which a lot of people do. Maybe a lot of soda, which has a lot of caffeine, which then could accelerate you real quick, and all of a sudden you drop down and you're not where you want to be. So now it's like, what do I do? Okay, so again, if anybody's just joined us, I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, and we are talking about the 5 ways to deal with crisis. And I'll go back over them real quick. And again, I can't see the chat, and that's not really cool for me that I can't see if anybody's there or not. So again, I will respond where I can, and depending on how this works, there's some things I like, there's some things I don't like already, but that's for me to sit down and we'll talk about that another time. But let's just go over what we talked about tonight. The 5 things, 5 ways to deal with crisis. Number 1 was check that you are physically safe. Okay. Number two, check that you are getting the medical, psychological, and legal help that you need. Number three, stay physically active. The mind and body are intertwined. Number four, make sure that you are eating pleasurable things. Make sure that you are keeping pleasurable things in your life. Try to maintain your routines. And number five, check that you are eating well and getting enough sleep. Good nutrition is important. So again, these are the five things that you need to do when dealing with crisis. And so I didn't make the list longer simply because, again, I was not sure how this platform was. But I want to say this to anybody watching, okay? And it's very important. You only have one life. And as we see the coronavirus, as we see the police violence, and as a man of color, I know what that stress is like. And I'll tell you a real quick story. One night in Brooklyn, and I'm originally from New York. Before I moved here to Delaware, I've been here the last 4 years. One night in Brooklyn, I was heading to work. I lived in Flatbush and I worked in South Jamaica, where I grew up at, South Jamaica, Queens. I'm heading through Brooklyn, cutting through Linden Boulevard, and if anybody that knows Brooklyn, where the Pink Houses is, it's back there where I think that's the Hip Center now, where the McDonald's is. I was right over there, but by that, the Hip Center wasn't built at that time. And the police pulled me over. And I remember it was late because I worked the midnight to 8 shift. So it was about 11:30 and I'm early. I know I get to work in about 10, 15 minutes. But I remember sitting there and I just remember looking over at the dirt field over there where the Hip Center was. But at that time it was all dirt. I just remember getting so nervous. And I remember just thinking, oh my God, what if these cops do anything to me? And I remember when the cops came to the door, I was trying to remain calm, and the cop looked at me and said, something wrong? I said, no, officer, I'm just a little nervous. He said, what you got to be nervous about? You did something? I said, no, I'm trying to go to work. And he's like, where do you work at? And, I wasn't as versed in the law now as I am now. So I was like, I work here, and I'm over the motel, and I'm trying to get to work. I'm the manager of the motel. And he happened to glance past me, and he saw that I had a car phone. He said, well, how much are they paying you that you can afford a car phone? I said, I make enough. I mean, I don't really have any bills or anything like that. He said, so he's flashing the light through the car, whatever. And he says, get out. Now my heart is beating tremendously fast. I didn't do anything, but I was terrified. And when I got out, he's like, can I check you for weapons or drugs or anything? And again, I was stupid. I was like, sure, because I didn't have anything. So he's patting me down. And he's patting me real aggressive. And I'm like, it's almost like he was baiting me to say or do something. I just remember stay calm. And he said, give me your license and registration. And so then I asked, I said, officer, did I do anything? And he told me to shut up. And I was like, remember, you got to go to work. So I gave my license and registration, went back to the car. And I know he purposely sat back there for a couple of minutes. He came back and he said, this is a high drug neighborhood. You really shouldn't be in this neighborhood. And I was like, no problem. And I just went like, and he turned around and said, what did you say? And I said, nothing, officer. And I remember when I got to work, like it was only a 10-minute drive, but God, it seemed like a half an hour. It seemed like an hour. And then the whole 8 hours that I was at work, I just felt horrible. I just felt some type of way. And I knew I was in some type of crisis. I was, and the reason why I remember that so vividly is because every time I see interactions with police, and every time I've had interactions with police since then, a part of me takes me back to that point. So that little situation was enough crisis to stay with me that even now at 52 years, I think that was definitely over 20 years ago. That was 88, 88 or 89. So you're talking about 30 something years ago. But this is what happens. But now that I'm grown, of course, I'm mature and I don't allow those things to continue to affect what I do. I now understand when I talk to people how things that happened to them before, it's hard for them to let go. Now what I do is show people how to let that go. I show people how to, one, recognize it and then deal with it. So if you're just tuning in as we're coming on the backside, let me just go through these 5 again for you. And again, the chat is ready to display messages. Click on a message to show it on the screen. I have no idea how to actually do the chat. Like I said, I got to play with this for a minute because I don't know if people are on or not. And if you're not, like I said, I will definitely go back over and try to respond to as many people. And like I said, I'll work out the kinks, but I'm here. And shout out to Glenn P. Brooks, who always says, just show up. And I'm showing up. So if for any reason I missed you and you're trying to respond or you're texting me and I'm not responding, I'm not doing it on purpose. I apologize. I will try to go to and check all the message and figure this out. But I'm here. And I wanted to make sure because somebody needed to hear this tonight. So again, I want to go through the 5 things again. If anybody's tuned in late, I am Keith K.L. Belvin, and I am a crisis specialist. And we're talking about 5 ways to deal with crisis. So let's go through them real quick. I'll put them back up on the screen for you. 1, check that you are physically safe. 2, let me just scroll down here. There we go. Let me just move this up here. 2, check that you are getting the help that you need medically, psychologically, and legally. Number 3, stay physically active. The mind and body are intertwined. Number 4, keep pleasurable things in your mind. Maintain routines. Do what you enjoy, reading, listening, music, etc. This is where, again, you include sex, and sex for number 3. So when it says stay physically active, sex, I add that. We tend to forget that, but yes, I don't know, crisis sex? It's going to be a lot of that when folks get up out, well, they're already up out of these quarantines. That's going to be another conversation for another day, is that I really believe some folks are hitting the streets a little too fast, but that's just me. We'll talk about that another time. And number 5, which is check that you are eating well and getting enough sleep. Good nutrition is important. Up your fruits and veggies because you need those vitamins and nutrients. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. As we get closer to the end of the half an hour, and so I wanted to put that in there, we can connect, and here's how we connect. Let's set up a free call. Now, what you can do is if you want to talk privately, if you believe that you're in crisis or you know somebody that's in crisis, you can reach out to me, and there it is right there, bit.ly Coach Keith. That is how you reach out to me, and this is how we can set up a free call. And you call, there's no charge for it, and we'll talk for a good half an hour or probably longer knowing me. And we'll just try to figure out if I am the person who can help you. Because if I'm not, then I'm not going to try to do business with you just to take your money. That's not what I do. Because if I can't help you, then I'm not going to hurt you. And I think one of the things that someone like me has to figure out very quickly is to get an idea of where the crisis is coming from. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take us to fix it. But once I can get an idea of where it's coming from, then we can start to build the hedges that are necessary to protect you from it and then restore you so you can actually take the lead and be able to take care of you. I don't want to do maintenance where I'm around forever. The goal is to restore you, get you back upright, get your feet up under you, make sure that you're strong and ready to go. You're ready to deal with whatever you're dealing with. And then I'm going. And the reason why is because I don't want you to become addicted to me, where you feel the only way you can do what you do is by having me right there with you. I'll be there when you need me. But the goal of anybody in a crisis specialist situation like I am in, the goal is to restore you. The goal is to get you upright, to get you feeling that you got you back. And then once that's good, I fade into the black. You're good. Now, I know some people would say, listen, if they're going to pay you, keep taking their money. No, that's not what we do. And that's not how we do it. That's not how I do it anyway, because I am a man of God more than anything else. But I do want to say this with the last couple of minutes that we have in reference to what we're seeing in the world. Depending on what your skin color is and what your experiences have been. And the reason why I said it that way is because I think we tend to forget that some of our brothers and sisters who are not of color, we tend to act as if they don't have any deep connection to what's going on. They do. I've come up with white folks who were right there in the mix with me, who were allies, who fought with me, who helped me and I helped them, and they were fighting just as much as I was fighting for what was right. As well as I've been with some brothers and sisters who have this skin color, who are as bad and for the cause as anything else. And so in these times, make sure that you understand what you're fighting for. Don't just jump on the bandwagon of a protest and you don't have any idea what it is. There's tons of organizations out there that you can jump on with, or you can start your own. But yes, we have to all agree that police brutality is a negative thing. Now, how we're going to fix that, how we're going to fix our communities, and how we're going to start to change the way things are, all of us have to decide what it is for them. For me, this right here, helping people to restore their mental health, helping people to hold on to their mental health, helping people to stay focused. That's how I protest. That's how I fight the system. I don't allow my brothers and sisters, white, black, indifferent, to fall off that cliff when I know I could reach out and help them. Do Black Lives Matter? You damn right they do. So you won't hear me yelling all lives matters, because that's understood. But I think one of the things that I saw, if my house is burning down, to say, oh, but what about my house? It's not about your house right now. It's about the house that's on fire. But all houses are important if they're on the same block, of course. And am I pro-black? Yes, I am. But does that mean I'm anti-white? No, it does not. It means that I understand that lives have to be saved. And right now, we're at a turning point in the country's history. And this is creating a lot of crisis for a lot of people. And so what I'm doing every day is trying to figure out how I can position myself to be there to help you in whatever form or fashion. And again, guys, I'm sorry that I can't see any comments. I'm sorry that I can't respond if anybody is trying to reach me, and that bothers me. So I'm really going to sit down and figure out how I can use this, or use this in a different way, or if I messed up something tonight. So as I get ready to close, I'm going to give you my link again, which is bit.ly/Coach Keith. That's how you set up the free call. But that's my hashtag, and it's hashtag we can fix this. And the reason why I chose that hashtag, and I chose that hashtag 4 years ago, but then I just said, and I didn't use it. That's just me. So I reclaimed it because sitting down and thinking, how can I do what I do? It's when I realized we, meaning you and me, together make we. We can fix the problems that we have. I'll do my part. And if you do yours, that's fine. So if you're in pain, or you know somebody in pain, you know somebody struggling, reach out, go to the link, bit.ly/Coach Keith, and reach out and just let me know what's going on. Let me know that you need some help. I'll put it up here again because it's a free call. You just simply go to my site, register, and reach out. We'll set something up. We'll set up something based on your schedule, my schedule too, of course, and we'll talk. And then we'll figure out what we can do together. Okay? So again, thank you for tuning into Unapologetically Keith. I'm not going to be super demonstrative, but I am going to say what I got to say, and I'm going to show up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9:30 to 10 o'clock. I'll be here, and I'm going to figure out how to use this service here. But again, if you're watching, thank you. If you left a comment, I will respond. All I ask is that you like this, you share it, and that you find somebody that you know is in need of help, and you tell them to reach out to me. Or if it is you, don't hesitate. You reach out to me. I'm going to say good night. Please be safe. I pray the Lord covers all of us. And remember, we, you and I, we can fix this. And if we believe that, then we actually can get things done. We can fix this. Have a great night. It's been a pleasure to be in front of you. Take care. God bless.